And good, finally, Friday morning, 3 minutes past 10 o'clock, and it's time for Community Spotlight on KRIM. And as we do on Fridays, we normally have all of your hometown movie guys with us, but at least one is out sick, and the other one is unaccounted for this morning. Oh, no. Anyway, I hate it when they're unaccounted for. Anyway,
I'm here.
Andy McKinney's with us in the studio, and how's life this morning, Andy?
Most excellent. Thank you for asking.
Most excellent.
Yes, and hello out there in Radio Land.
Yeah, just blew my earphones off. It's all good. So, we're hoping that maybe Craig is still going to be able to join us here in just a little bit to get the latest. Last week, didn't he say that they were looking at opening up the theater about the middle of the month?
Yes. As far as I know, there's no new updates on that. The theater, I sometimes forget that I have actually nothing to do with the theater. I spent a lot of time there and I like it. So
right.
I kind of mentally adopted it, but there's no connection between me and the theater whatsoever, except me as a customer. But as far as I know, everything that he said last week about it opening up here pretty soon, next weekend, is still valid. But the last time there was a change on that, the theater found out about it the 24-hour notice.
Ouch.
No, that's brutal.
Yeah, and there's so many different businesses that have been affected by this whole COVID-19 thing. That how can you be forced to shut down for a month or two and just roll with that? I think it's been the demise of a number of businesses. So, but hopefully some of the theaters still hanging in there and getting ready to get back after it soon. I know we're all missing getting over there to the theater and watching movies.
Well, I am.
Yeah. Oh, fine. By the way, hi to our friends watching on Facebook Live. We're also coming to you there this morning, and appreciate you joining along with us. And so we can't really talk too much about what movies are going to be coming out necessarily.
No,
a lot of the releases have been delayed too.
Yeah, they sure have. The plan was for the Sawmill to take advantage of a program that Disney is offering, where they're re-releasing some of their movies from this century.
Oh, so we get to see Bambi again?
From the 21st century.
Oh, the 21st century. I'm sorry, I'm still stuck in the last one.
Yeah.
The 70s were hard on me.
So they're when the plan was, we'll see again what happens with the government of state of Arizona, what they will and will not allow. But the plan was to next weekend open with several contemporary Disney movies.
Oh, interesting.
So, they've re-released some of the classic Disney animated movies as live action films. That'll be among them. So
okay.
That's looking for something. We'll be able to go and sit in the dark and watch a movie, which is all I'm asking for at this point.
There you go. And hopefully then be able to eventually resurrect the classic movie Saturday thing.
Eventually the whole deal will come back. We have the classic movie Saturdays. We have the faith films coming in, and the local Republican Party has made an arrangement with the theater to show patriotic films.
Ooh, I like that idea.
And
you have anything in mind that you're thinking of? Or?
Well, the first one is scheduled, that was scheduled before the plague hit us, was Mr. Smith Goes to Washington.
Oh, there you go.
But that was one, yeah, absolutely, and talks about how government works, and is interesting in that aspect of it. Besides being a fine movie,
right?
And Yankee Doodle Dandy. I don't know if you've ever seen that, but
I don't think I've actually. I mean, I know of it, but I don't believe I've seen it.
Yeah, Jimmy Cagney as a song and dance man.
It goes back a few years.
Oh yeah, back to
was that 40s, 50s,
30s or 40s,
wow.
I think. I'm not sure how far back it goes, but it's a terrific movie, and just an absolute celebration of the American spirit.
Oh, yeah.
And there are other ones that more overtly political, but. One of the things that Craig has done at the Sawmill Theater is made the Sawmill Theater a genuine part of the community.
Right.
You know, the people that like to see the old classic movies, they love it. People that like to see the faith movies, they can come in and see it. And he's not afraid to try any innovation that comes into his head, and just try it and see if it works. And if it works, like the classic movies now we've been doing for several years, and people genuinely enjoy that. And I think that's great and good for Craig. I'm sorry he's not here to toot his own horn, but I don't mind tooting his horn.
We'll toot it for you.
That's right.
They always do great things, and they have been. I mean, they've done blood drives. They've done all kinds of different things. You know,
Yeah,
community things.
Yeah, every fall they do a thing for the school kids.
Right.
You know, it's just great stuff.
I love it. Well, one of the things we want to talk a little bit about this morning, because we always talk about some form of movie trivia on Friday mornings, and Andy, you brought in an astounding plethora of information on movies that Mel Gibson has been in. And I was looking through your list before going on the air, and I knew that he'd been in a lot of movies, and I've always really kind of admired Mel Gibson and some of the movies that he's been in. I mean, one of the first ones that comes to my mind, it's reportedly a little bit of a breakaway from historical accuracy, but Braveheart has always been a favorite of mine. I love that movie.
Yeah, great movie, huge epic. There's one great scene where Braveheart rides his horse into this guy's bedroom and smashes him. You know what a mason chain is?
Oh, yeah.
It's a stick with a chain, and then at the end of the chain is this great big spiky ball.
Right.
So he rides his horse into this guy's bedroom, swings the mason chain around his head, and smites this fella. And he smites him a mighty smite.
More than a smidgen, it's a smite. Well, you know, there's so many different scenes from that movie.
Oh, it's just it's a really well done movie, and Mel Gibson won 2 Oscars for that.
Mm-hmm.
Neither for acting, oddly enough. One Best Picture because he was one of the producers of the film,
Right.
And the other one for director.
Wow.
Mel Gibson has an Oscar for Best Director.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. And you know, one of the things when it comes to some of the characters that he has played over the years, you know, whether it's in Braveheart or oh golly, what's the police, the 2 guys, crud, just like that, the name of it escapes me, but it's God, it's right on the tip of my frontal lobe.
Sure it is.
You know, it's a cop movie, and he and Black Guy are partners. And they made like 3 or 4 versions of this, and I still can't remember the title.
Oh boy!
But my point is, in both of these, he tends to.
And this is movies that you've seen too.
Yeah, he tends to goes to show how much of a lasting impact that had. But he plays the part of someone who's maybe a little out there on the edge. With some of his mannerisms. And
Oh
stuff
yeah,
like that.
and Lethal Weapon is
that's the one.
What you're trying to think of. Yeah, he's absolutely bonkers. He's a policeman in Los Angeles with Danny Glover, and he's apparently has gone insane because of the death of his wife,
Right.
and he can't cope with being in the real world as a normal person, and he's not, and he really portrays that well.
Well,
he does crazy very well.
Right. And there are some people that think that maybe, you know, he has some unique insight towards that, but I mean, I think he's just a great actor. I've loved a lot of the movies that he's done.
Yeah, well, you think of and those were very successful, by the way, the Lethal Weapons movies.
Definitely.
But he's done stuff probably that you never saw, that is another completely other side to him. He made one. He and Jodie Foster have worked together a couple of times, and apparently they're friends. Mel Gibson is really rich. I mean, just staggeringly rich. Hundreds of millions of dollars in the bank.
Wow.
So if he doesn't want to get up and go to work in the morning, he doesn't have to. But he made a movie with Jodie Foster here a few years ago called The Beaver, and Jodie Foster directed it, and Jodie Foster was his co-star. So I'm kind of guessing that this is a Jodie Foster's project. And he plays a guy who has lost his marbles, and
There's that reoccurring theme again.
and in order to cope, he has a puppet of a beaver, and he uses the puppet to talk to people.
Oh wow.
I mean,
this
this-
is getting kind of deep.
Well, no, this is completely divorced from being a Scottish nobleman or being a policeman or a criminal.
Right.
He plays a lot of cops and a lot of crooks, but this is something completely off the reservation. And I haven't seen it, to tell you the truth. But he also played Hamlet.
Wow.
He was very well, very well received.
And I don't know, but I might be the only person in the world that doesn't instantly think of Shakespearean, parts when it comes to Mel Gibson. I mean, that shocks me that he could do any Shakespearean acting and have it be believable just because of the dialogue and the
No,
words.
he's a genuine, accomplished actor.
Wow.
He kind of plays a lot of tough guy roles, but it's not the only thing that he can do.
Well, I think at the top of the list of things that I've been impressed with is The Passion of Christ.
Incredible.
I mean, and that was such a departure from everything else that he had been a part of that, you kind of wondered, can he actually pull this off? And he did so astoundingly, I think.
Among the biblical figures that are important to me, probably the one that's most important for me is King David, because King David did a lot of bad stuff.
Oh yeah.
And yet, did a lot of good stuff too.
And we're not even talking about Bathsheba.
No, lots of other stuff
Yeah.
too. I mean, he had bloody hands.
Sure.
He was not a nice guy. And Mel Gibson has a very dramatic personal life, and a lot of it is pretty uncomfortable. On the other hand, he's apparently, as flawed and sinful as he is, he's a strong believer.
Gotta love it.
And just imagine that, a Christian who is a sinner.
Yeah. Show me one who's not.
Okay, there you are. That is doctrine. But he is. I mean, in his personal life, he is, and yet he made this movie deliberately, purposefully, as an act of faith, and it was enormously successful. It's $1 billion movie.
$1 billion.
Yeah, and they I don't know, they spent $20 million or something to make the thing.
Right.
And it's very difficult to watch, and it is almost a frame for frame depiction of what is described in the biblical text. There's nothing sugar coated, but nothing added either.
And we've talked about this before in the scene where Christ is being whipped with a lead-tipped whip. The reality of what that would actually be like, as far as knocking chunks of flesh off your back and stuff like that. I mean, they really pulled it off in a very believable way, where you wince just watching it. I mean, it brought the reality of that. I mean, it's a I don't know, a tremendously humbling thing, just horrifying, and a few other words that can be put in there to see. They did a great job of making it very realistic.
Yeah. And Gibson was a Catholic of a particular bent, and I think he's interested in absolution by that's a sort of being whipped as you're absolved from your sins by suffering.
Right.
And I think that's important to him, and he certainly brought that out in the movie. But he's done a lot of stuff, and some of his younger things. He did a version of the Mutiny on the Bounty story.
Right, I saw that.
That was just great, and he was a very young, handsome young actor at that time, and very well done version of that story.
Mm-hmm.
I think as well done as any of the other versions that have been done.
Oh, very interesting. And matter of fact, Edna's watching us on Facebook Live. Hey, Edna. She says, I cried through it all. Mel Gibson was awesome in Passion of the Christ. It's so believable, and I think she's spot on. There was nothing in that movie, and I tend to be, a little bit of, I don't even know what the right word would be, but I look very pessimistically at some of these movies sometimes, as far as they were reaching on that one, or this didn't quite, and I maybe overanalyze things a bit. There wasn't anything in that movie that I thought, well, that can't be right, or they...
No, it's very... Gibson was very careful in honoring the text.
Right.
I think is the way the movie people would say that.
And if you have a particular, movie that was done by him that you would like to chime in on, let us know on Facebook Live right now. Just go to KRIM FM on Facebook, and you'll see us live here in the studio chatting about this. We have to take a quick break, and we're going to be back with more. I'll be talking with Andy McKinney about some more of Mel Gibson's movies. And again, chime in if you would at KRIM FM on Facebook with Facebook Live right now. Check it out. Commercial break.
I want to talk about Get the Gringo.
Wow, I've heard of that. I think I may have seen it. That's a number of years ago, wasn't it?
2012.
That's a number.
If you saw it, you'll remember it because most of the action takes place in a Mexican prison.
Get your entries ready and...
I just remember the title. I'm not bringing anything else to mind. It's Friday. Those things happen. All right, here we go in 30 seconds. And...
while still creating a fun atmosphere for the entire family. Indoor exhibits will be at the Tonopah Magic Gym, while livestock and shows
15
will be
seconds.
across 87,
14,
Case and Events Center.
13.
The schedule of events, times, ticket prices, and other information can be found on the Northern Gila County Fair website, ngcfair.com. Get your entries ready and see you at the fair.
See you at the fair, okay.
I'm going to go to the fair.
Hey, yeah. I'm going to go to the mediocre. But that's a whole other story for another show.
But, over a couple of days ago, I guess. Excuse me.
I just edited Andy's sneeze out for you, so...
Wow, that was a good one too. I just saw one of his movies from 2012, Get the Gringo.
Get the Gringo. That sounds familiar. I'm trying to...
Yeah, well,
put my brain
it's
around
it is really, really gritty. And we were talking a little while ago about how Gibson often plays either one side or the other side of the law, and always a pretty rough customer. Well, this one he's a bad guy. And he's really a bad guy. He kills a bunch of people and stuff. And just murders them. But he has a sweetheart, so we forgive him. But most of the movie takes place in, I guess, a famous and notorious Mexican prison in Tijuana called Pablito.
Pablito. I'm trying to remember what the translation...
Well, let's see. Maybe it's not Pablito. It's
My Espanol is muy poquito.
yeah. Whatever it would be for a little town.
Oh, okay.
Pueblito.
Right. Paysanito.
There we go. Paysanito. But the facility is designed for 2,000 people, and it has 6,000 people in it, and including women and children.
Oh, wow.
Who are dependents of the inmates, and the inmates are so dangerous that the The official administration doesn't even attempt to administer it. It's run completely by the inmates. You can get anything that you want in there. I mean, it's a criminal emporium within walls, and the only rule is you cannot escape. Don't try, we'll shoot you. But anything else you want to do, we don't care because we're afraid to go in there.
That's an interesting storyline.
Yeah. So he gets thrown into this place, and it opens up. I think that you would appreciate. He's dressed as a clown, and he's in a high-speed chase with the police, American police, chasing him. He's heading for the border, and he ends up jumping through the wall with his driving. Kind of goes on a ramp and drives his car through the border wall, and the Mexican police are there because there's been such a ruckus, and they nab him, and the American police want the Mexicans to give him back. They'll give him back. We're going to go, take him to jail. And the Mexican police say, "Oh, okay, sure, save on the paperwork. We don't need this."
Right.
And then they look in his car and they find millions of stolen dollars because Gibson has pulled a big heist. And they say, "Oh no, we're going to keep it."
Yeah. I think he should stay here.
Yeah, so they keep his money, and they throw him in the prison. And the rest of the movie is how he, in the criminal twists and turns of his mind, and how he extracts himself from the situation that he's in. It's a very well done movie of that sort. If you like gritty crime things.
So if you were going to choose of all of the Mel Gibson movies, and I mean, you brought in a pretty extensive list. I had no idea that he'd been in this many movies.
Well, he was in The Patriot.
Oh, and that's a great one.
Yeah, he was in Payback. Speaking of gritty criminal movies,
Right.
Great movie.
I don't think I ever saw that one, but the Patriot was, I thought, exceptionally well done. It kind of it was just like a later version of Braveheart in a lot of ways, I think.
Yeah, with Americans.
Right.
Yeah, but when he was just a tad, he did one called Gallipoli that absolutely will break your heart. It's in World War I, the British Empire tried to invade Turkey at the Straits of Gallipoli and the Gallipoli Peninsula, and it was a horrible bloodbath and was not successful. Went on for months and months, and lots and lots of Empire people, including Australians, and Mel Gibson is Australian.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a quintessential Australian movie about their history as they see it.
Wow.
And just bloody, fruitless heartbreak. Great movie.
And that's Turkey in general, there's an amazing history all the way around there. So many different people have had power there over the millennium, or millennia rather. But
Well, them too.
I've actually had a chance to get around Turkey quite a bit. Istanbul is up at the northwest corner of the Sea of Marmara, and during an earthquake there back in '99, actually went all around the Sea of Marmara to Golchik, Izmit, and Adapazarı, where we did earthquake relief work. But in Istanbul, used to be Constantinople, very interesting Roman era baths that are still functioning today, after 2,000 years and stuff like that. It's, a level of history that you just don't get here in the United States.
Every once in a while, you'll get to see a movie made in Istanbul that shows the Byzantine baths, right? The reservoir, not the baths, the reservoir under the city. There's an enormous reservoir that's 2,000 years old,
Right.
that is still functioning.
Mm-hmm.
And there was I think a James Bond movie where somebody got shot or something. But it's fun.
Or they did shots, one or the other.
Yeah.
So if you're going to pick favorite of all time of Mel Gibson movies?
Mel Gibson movies. Boy, I don't know. I really like Mad Max.
Oh yeah, and Thunderdome and all of that. Right? They did a few different Mad Max movies.
Yeah,
Didn't
they 4 so far. Three with him. Mad Max again, and then Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome with Tina Turner
Oh yeah.
as anti-millennium. But Mad Max, the original Mad Max, is just an absolute gem of a movie. It's low budget. In one scene, this is what they do with the imagination. In one scene, he handcuffs this guy to a car, sets the car on fire so it's going to explode, and gives him a hacksaw.
Better be selling quick.
Some
twisted stuff.
Some twisted stuff, absolutely.
You know,
But a lot of his movies are very, very good.
Right.
Payback, for instance, is really a great movie. Ransom, another crime thing, another good movie. But he's done lots and lots of stuff.
Well, and he really pulled off too. Going back to Lethal Weapon and however many iterations of that they've done.
Did you ever see in Lethal Weapon where the guy gets decapitated by a surfboard?
Seems like I do remember something.
Yeah. See, you don't see that stuff every day, do you?
You know, I can't remember the last time I saw somebody decapitated by a surfboard. I hope I don't again. But you know, it's interesting though. In the Lethal Weapon movies, there was a great mix between suspense, drama, and comedy.
Comedy, yeah.
Especially
when they brought Joe Pesci in.
Oh, yeah. Pretty hard to be serious around Joe Pesci. But man, they did a good job on those, and they were obviously big successes in the box office.
Yep, sure enough. Did you ever see Signs?
No.
Ooh.
That's another interesting one.
Oh, yeah, you know, this was made, you know, with the crop circles and all that stuff.
Right.
It's kind of about that, and it's a really, really scary kind of alien deal. But there's some stuff in that is mystical and magical and really kind of makes the hair stand up on the back of your neck.
Wow.
I mean, kind of an underrated movie, I think.
Let's try that out. What was the name?
Signs.
Signs. I'll have to look at that.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Well, I know that you've got places that you've got to be, so we're going to just do a little shorter version today of just 30 minutes here with your hometown movie guy, Andy McKinney, and we hope that Craig and Tina will be able to be back with us again next week, and Tina, hope you get to feeling better.
And he did a movie a couple of years ago called Hacksaw Ridge, 2017.
Okay.
He directed it. I don't know if you saw Hacksaw Ridge. It's about
I remember the name.
It's about the guy who's a conscientious objector in World War II. They hire him on as a medic, so he doesn't carry a gun. And
Yes,
he
I do remember that.
he goes and rescues wounded soldiers over and over and over and over and over again. He got an Oscar nomination for Best Director for that. But he didn't win, but he was nominated as Best Director for that movie too.
Impressive.
So a man of many parts.
Hey, Dan, do we know, is he working on anything today?
Oh yeah, he's got, I think, 3 movies in 2020, but of course, everything's all up in the air.
Right. And with or without a mask. Anyway, well, hey, once again, always a pleasure to have Andy, have you in here, and we look forward to next week having the rest of the Hometown Movie Guys. And thank you for tuning in and listening this morning to
And
Community Spotlight.
thanks for the people that watch too.
Yeah, and make sure you always check us out there on Facebook Live as we try to give you a look at just how crazy all of this stuff actually is here. We're having a good time though. Anyway, back to more of your favorite music, but first, a look at weather and a couple words from our sponsor.